Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston with Our Blooming Catholic Life, and I'm back again. We're still in Matthew chapter 20, verse 8. It's our second look at this passage. It's time for payment. It's the end of the day. The anticipation is there. Let us begin again, for up till now, my friends, we have done nothing. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Sume glorioso Deus illumina tenebras cordis mehi et da mihi fidem rectum spem certum et caritatem perfectum Domini ut facium tuum sanctum et verax mandatum. Amen. And when evening was come, the Lord of the vineyard said to his steward, Call the laborers and pay them their hire, from the last even till the first. And when evening was come, the Lord of the vineyard said to his steward, Call the laborers and pay them their hire, beginning from the last even to the first. And when evening was come, the Lord of the vineyard said to his steward, Call the laborers and pay them their hire, beginning from the last even to the first. So friends, what did you get from the passage this time? What did you get from it last time? Is it different? Is it a development of that one? Or is it like a totally new reflection for you? We've talked about before St. Clare's, well, I'll tell you first what came to me, and it could be because I reflected on what I had last time before I started. To me, what I love about this verse is it's saying everyone, every single one, call them all. Call the laborers and pay them for their hire, beginning from the last even to the first. Everyone's in. Like, that's so encouraging, and it's just amazing. And so now, though, I want to take a step back from that reflection, which is a little bit more literal, right? I want to take a step back and do as St. Clare. Where do we see Jesus Christ in this passage? Where can we see him, and where can we reflect him back out to others? So when I'm looking at this, I think most people will go with, okay, the vineyard owner is like God the Father, and Jesus Christ is like the steward, right? He is going to be there at our final judgment. You can look at it that way. Some people may say that maybe it's Jesus and St. Michael the Archangel. I don't know. How do you see, where do you see Jesus in this? I see God the Father, and I see Jesus more as the steward. He's going to call them all and then pay them all their due. And I do love that. It does speak to the justice and mercy of God. Again, that's so evident, especially as you read through Genesis 22, the story of Abraham and the binding of Isaac. You see God's justice played out, not just to Abraham, but to all the characters in that story get justice and mercy in different ways. And so we wonder, as we look at this, is it going to be different? Is it going to be the same? We all know they're all going to get paid. It says that here. And so here we see Christ in the story. Christ is calling us all at the end of the day. He's the one coming for us. And I don't know, I find that exciting, because at the end of the day, I think I touched on this in the last one. At the end of the day, we're probably not our prettiest, right? We've been working out in the field. Like, do they have like grass and things in their hair? Maybe some dirt on them. They've been out there working really hard, and they're tired. And to see Jesus calling you at the end of the day, like, that's great. It's amazing. So I don't know this story. I'm assuming it's day laborers, and they're going to have expected to get paid at the end of the day, I imagine. And here they are. They've been working all day. Their numbers have grown throughout the day. And yet here he is, and he's going to call to them all. So we see this. Let's look at this as a spiritual sense. There were people, you can look at it, you can consider Israel the people hired at the beginning. Well, in the beginning, it was Adam and Eve who were in the vineyard in the beginning, right? And they were working, and their children. And then he went out and he called to Noah and his family. And then he went out and he called to Abraham and his family. And he called to Isaac and his family. And he called to Jacob and his family, right? And so at times he keeps coming out and calling to the people and gathering them back together. And then he goes out here and he hires those unhirables at the end of the day. Ooh, that's us, the Gentiles. I am not that I know of in any way descended from the Jews, and yet I am a follower of the Jewish God and the Jewish Messiah. Some say, some don't. But, I feel like my people were the Gentiles, and God went out. He found us at the end of the day, those who had no one, right? He found us, he hired us, he called us by name, right? Imagine that when he goes out, because they say, no man hath hired us. Now you have to imagine, he's saying, go you also to my vineyard. What if when he said that, he even said your name? Like, why are you standing here, Mary? Why are you standing here, Jacob? Now I can't come up with names. Why are you standing here, Deanna? Why are you still here? I said, well, nobody hired me. And he's like, okay, challenge accepted. There's what I need you to do. And you're called to go out into the vineyard. And in that vineyard, you are working for the glory of God. There, sorry. Ooh, shiny. There's a moth over there. You're called to go out and work in the vineyard, and you're working with others. Now, we aren't called in this sense. It doesn't sound like we're going out to minister to others. We're going to have to stay tuned, see what that looks like, because we know that Jesus walked with his disciples and trained them and then turned them loose on the world. What's going to happen with these disciples? Well, we know those working in the vineyard, if they're getting paid at the end of the day, they're going to go back into the marketplace tomorrow. And are they going to get hired by us? Are they going to get hired by someone else? There's so many things here, and God calls us by name, and we answer that call, right? And we go that one time, and it's exciting and it's thrilling, and you kind of get on that spiritual high. And we don't know, is the Lord explicitly going to call our name the next day? Or do we stay faithful? Maybe the next day, do we show up at the vineyard gates going, here I am, Lord? Or do we see him in the marketplace and we call out, here I am, call me, I'm ready? Do we do that? Do we present ourselves to him? That's something after my secular Franciscan profession. When I was in formation, I pulled back a little bit from ministries at the church. And then after my profession was over, I went to my priest and it was like, here I am. Where do you need me? And some of that I discerned on my own, and some of it, he did put me in some programs where he thought I could grow and learn from. And so you do have to sometimes step up. Where did I hear that? Father Meeks. I was watching a homily. I think it was a homily of Father Meeks. It was at least a talk of Father Meeks. And he was talking about the liturgical New Year. And now was it Father Meeks, or I also watched the homily of a Franciscan friars today. I don't know, all holy people, so we'll take it. And they were saying, how the Jewish people just celebrated their New Year. And he's like, well, it's a new year, so I want you to look at the parish ministries and find something that's going to help you grow spiritually, like a Bible study or an accompaniment group, or maybe there's I'm saying the same things, aren't I? Like a women's group, a men's group, a young adults group, a group that studies the gospel readings in preparation for Sunday. Maybe a group that is doing the catechism in a year. Maybe there's a group that's looking at some encyclicals or something. So a place for you to grow spiritually. Look at one of those groups. Make sure you're in one of those groups. Next, he wants you to look at a group that does service in the church. Now, could you be joining a ministry? Maybe you're going to join the accounting team. Maybe you're going to work on your singing voice and join the choir. Maybe, men, you could consider joining the diaconate. Young men, have you considered maybe there's a vocational formation group where you can go and explore that a little bit at your parish? Is there a group that runs the food pantry, that does meals for those who are bereaved for after funerals? Is there a group that volunteers, like to sing? Even if you don't want to join the full-on choir, there's always a need for a cantor or a choir for funerals, and that is a ministry that you could join as well. Altar servers, that is a service. But as well, there are groups that go out, maybe visiting the homebound, maybe visiting those in nursing homes, maybe visiting those in prisons. There are a lot of ministries. Maybe you could be on the gardening group at the parish. There's such a variety of ministries that are service. Some are services to the community of the church specifically, and some are more outreach, right? Still in the community that's the church, or some are even more just open to everyone. So there's something really for everyone, even in the smallest parish, I feel like. So he said, look at those two kinds of groups and challenge yourself. And if you're already in groups, challenge yourself. Are you growing spiritually? Is there formation going on in your group? Is there service going on in your group? Some groups are really good at the social aspect and service, but maybe not formation. And some are really good at formation and maybe not good at fellowship. There's really 3 angles. But he only said 2 groups. So try and find fellowship in whichever kind of group you join. Wow. So that was interesting. You never know where Lectio's going to take you. But as always, it should view scriptures as a whole, as well as fit in with the magisterium of the church. So great things to reference as you go into your Lectio studies. Friends, may God bless you and keep you. Do I have that here? May he make his face to shine upon you, to be gracious unto you, and may the good Lord give you his peace. In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen.